Hello, I'm Abdul Rajak. How are you? Again, I'm back. So, I'm back. Again, I'm back. Okay, so just now I made a video that tomorrow is my exam, midterm exam. But after the video, immediately I uploaded it onto the YouTube channel. And I remember one video I have made but not uploaded in the YouTube that has missed. So I click to upload that video, previously recorded video first. Then the video just I have finished right now because I have to read more. Tomorrow is my exam. 30 minutes is not enough to study for study. So I uploaded, but due to the last video is only about 15 minutes short video, the video uploaded fast. I uploaded the previous video first, and the second video, 15-minute video, I just made in the second in a row. But due to the short size, the second video uploaded first. The long video, previously recorded video, uploaded last. Okay, that's not the matter. So, in tomorrow's exam, the syllabus is first three class lecture. First class lectures is risk exposure hazard vulnerability. Second class lectures was about participatory approach, role of participatory approach, principles, framework, how risk reduction approach or framework works, risk reduction, this participatory approach basically. And the third class lectures was about capacity building, coping capacity and adaptive capacity, difference between both these terms, how can we assess vulnerability, what is SWOT analysis, SWOT SWOT analysis, what is SNA assessment, social network analysis assessment. So these three class lectures are the main syllabus. And before our exam, sir given assignment topics, 15 assignment topics. As we now studying new syllabus, we are giving two midterm exams, first midterm, second midterm and final exams. This is the first midterm syllabus. So first three class lectures and 15 assignment topics that will distribute it to the students to do individually, but the assignment topics are also the syllabus. This is also can be taken in the exam. So we will read these questions. First of all, let's look into the questions, assignment topics. Number 1, principles and practices of risk assessment. Principles and practices of risk assessment, the role of risk assessment in disaster management and preparedness. One thing, that is, if I have to study for a long time, why I finished the video earlier, 15 minutes. I have to make one single video, but this assignment topics was written in my handbook, exercise book. Here, I just click a photo, go to send it through WhatsApp, my own WhatsApp. I open the WhatsApp in my desktop, then I save the photo and paste it to Google Lens, then I copy the text, then I go to the ChatGPT to organize the text, and I am now reading it in digital form. How technology is making easier our life, this is a benefit. Now these 15 questions and I have copied this in my Word Microsoft Word to see in a good manner and listen. If I this is the stand where I am keeping my phone. If I stand like this, my head, the phone is below, not standing straight. So that's why the pen, I am putting the pen behind my mobile phone and the mobile phone is becoming straight to record the video. So now these 15 questions and class 3 topics, I will just ask the ChatGPT, give answer 1, give answer 2. They will give answer. I will now read. First of all, let's read the questions. Assignment topics number 1, principles and practices of risk assessment. As the course name is, course title was risk assessment and vulnerability analysis. So principles and practices of risk assessment. The role of risk assessment in disaster management and preparedness. Types of vulnerability: physical, social, economic and environmental analysis. Types of vulnerability: physical, social, economical, and environmental analysis. Number 4, integrating risk assessment and coastal planning for disaster resilience. Number 5, comprehensive analysis for hazard vulnerability in plain land and coastal areas. Comprehensive analysis of hazard vulnerability in plain land and coastal areas. Climate change and vulnerability analysis, assessing risk in low-lying coastal areas. Number 7, socio-economic impacts of hazard vulnerability, a case study approach. Number 8, role of early warning system in reducing risk and vulnerability. Number 9, health risk assessment in post-disaster scenarios, challenges, strategies, techniques, approaches and methods. These are similar terms, synonyms basically. Challenges, strategies, techniques, approaches. The strategies, the techniques, the approaches are same. And methods. Number 10, risk assessment in the agricultural sector, adapting to climate-induced hazards. 11, quantitative and qualitative approaches to risk assessment, advantages and limitations. Quantitative and qualitative approaches to risk assessment, advantages and limitations for these two approach, qualitative and quantitative. Using participatory risk assessment methods in community-based disaster management. In a community-based disaster management, we have to make it participatory risk assessment methods in community-based disaster management. The role of local governance in vulnerability reduction and risk assessment. Risk number 14, risk communication strategies. Number 15, public-private partnership in risk assessment and vulnerability management, a multi-criteria approach within a national framework. And the 3 questions are already known. So I am going to ChatGPT and asking answer number 1. Okay. What is risk exposure? Not class 1. Assignment topic 1. Stop. I can't see the keyboard due to my mobile phone. So the mobile phone will be stand here. Okay. Assignment number 1 answer. Principles and practices of risk assessment. Definition of risk assessment. Risk assessment is a systematic process used to identify. Risk assessment is a systematic process. Everything in this world are systematic. Risk assessment is a systematic process used to identify, evaluate and prioritize risk to minimize their impact through effective management. It focuses on understanding the likelihood and consequences of adverse events. Principles of risk assessment: systematic and structured, comprehensive, dynamic and adaptive, stakeholder involvement, evidence based, context specific. These are principles of risk assessment, and practices of risk assessment are risk identification, risk analysis, risk evaluation, mitigation planning, monitoring and review, communication and documentation. Applications of risk assessment: disaster management, urban planning, environmental management, health risk assessment. Okay, risk assessment. Okay, number two. Two. The role of risk assessment in disaster management and preparedness. Definition of risk assessment here also. The risk assessment definition is, so tomorrow I will obviously have to answer what is risk assessment as a short questions. What is risk assessment? Risk assessment is the process of identifying, analyzing. Why I am in black? Focus, not focusing. Okay. Yeah, so then you go here. I will type here. Okay. Risk assessment is the process of identifying. Analyzing, and evaluating risks to prioritize actions that reduce the likelihood and impact of disasters. Role of risk assessment in disaster management: hazard identification and understanding, vulnerability analysis, exposure mapping, prioritization of risk, planning for mitigation measures, resource allocation, supporting emergency preparedness, monitoring and evaluation. Role of risk assessment in preparedness. Role of risk assessment in preparedness: early warning system, risk assessment, early warning system, community awareness and training, scenario planning, policy development. Conclusion: risk assessment plays a crucial role in disaster management and preparedness by providing actionable insights for reducing hazards, minimizing vulnerabilities, and enhancing community resilience. It ensures that resources are used effectively to mitigate risk and safeguard lives and livelihoods. If I say into the camera, the focus is more. It focuses more. If I look on my PC but not into the camera, then the focus sometimes not so good. Okay. 3. What is the number 3 questions? Types of vulnerability: physical, social, economic, and environmental analysis. Definition of vulnerability: vulnerability refers to the susceptibility. This was always with the vulnerability. Vulnerability refers to the susceptibility of a system, community, or individual to harm when exposed to hazards. It depends on physical, social, economic, and environmental factors. Physical vulnerability description relates to the physical condition of infrastructure, buildings, and geographical locations. Factors influencing physical vulnerability: social vulnerability, economic vulnerability, environmental vulnerability. Linking the types of vulnerability: interconnectedness. Vulnerabilities often overlap. For instance, a socially vulnerable group, example given, low income communities, may live in physically vulnerable locations, example given, floodplains, due to economic constraints. Means interconnectedness. A socially vulnerable group which has low income communities, these are social vulnerable groups, may live in physically vulnerable locations like floodplains. Why? Due to economic constraints. So here these groups are socially vulnerable, physically vulnerable, and economically vulnerable. Sorry. Holistic approach. Conclusion. Number 4. Integrating risk assessment and coastal planning for disaster resilience. Coastal areas are highly vulnerable to natural hazards like cyclones, tsunamis, and sea level rise due to their geographical and socio-economic characteristics. Integrating risk assessment into coastal planning is essential for enhancing disaster resilience in these regions. Okay, key elements of integration. So risk assessment in coastal areas, coastal planning, steps to integrate risk assessment and coastal planning. Benefits of integration, challenges, conclusions. These are so many. So I will need to compact and concise the solutions. Give all solutions in one response with assignment and class note topics. Enter. All in one. Here is a consolidated response with all the answers for assignment topics and class notes you requested. Assignment topics এগুলো sorry no Bengali no Bangla 5 6 7 8 9 10 these answers are only 2 lines 3 lines. Class notes questions I ask for answers. Class notes give all class notes solutions. Now these assignment topic solutions principles and practices of risk assessment. Risk assessment is a systematic process of identifying, analyzing, and evaluating risk to minimize their impact. Risk assessment is a systematic process of identifying, analyzing, and evaluating risk to minimize their impact. Principle of risk assessment. Practices. No practices. Half solution. Systematic and structured, comprehensive, dynamic, and adaptive stakeholder involvement, evidence-based context. Specific, the role of risk assessment in disaster management and preparedness. Role in disaster management: identify hazards and vulnerabilities, prioritize resource and actions, helps in designing mitigation measures, provides. In my phone, I don't have the option to flip the camera without stopping the video. Still, if I see, if you can see role of disaster management: identifies hazards and vulnerabilities, prioritize resource and actions, helps in designing mitigation measures, provides the foundation for disaster preparedness and emergency response planning, support continuous and monitoring, updating. Types of vulnerability: physical, social, economical, environmental analysis. Physical vulnerability relates to infrastructure and geographical location. Social vulnerability refers to social factors like poverty, gender inequality, and marginalization. Economic vulnerability, you can see. Are you seeing? Influenced by financial resilience, livelihoods, and wealth distribution. Environmental vulnerability concern system degradation and fragility to hazard. Interconnectedness. These types of vulnerability often overlap and require a comprehensive approach to risk management. Integrated risk assessment and coastal planning for disaster resilience. Risk assessment identifies coastal hazards, evaluates vulnerabilities, and prioritize risks. Coastal planning, integration steps, data collection and hazard mapping, community participation, policy development, resilience building, monitoring and evaluation. Benefits: reduced vulnerability, sustainable development, and enhanced preparedness and ecosystem restoration. Number 5, comprehensive analysis of hazard vulnerability in plain land and coastal areas. Identifying vulnerabilities is specific to each area type, plain, land, and coastal. My throat is now tired. Too much talk is not good. I'm thirsty. I have to drink some water. Tap water, not suitable for health. Cold water. This is winter season and the water is so cold. I need to purchase a flask that will keep my water warm. My hair is also not giving me a formal look, informal. I have to take a good haircut. Okay, climate change and vulnerability analysis, assessing risks in low-lying coastal areas. Comprehensive analysis for hazard vulnerability in plain land and coastal areas. Identifying vulnerabilities is specific to each area type, plain land versus coastal, to prioritize disaster management. What the fuchka? I know, but where is the specific vulnerability as identification? You just said what to do. Don't give me solutions. Okay, in one answer that is also a long response from chat. Jibri. Socio-economic impacts of hazard vulnerability, a case study approach, analyzing how specific hazards affect the economy, health, and livelihoods using case studies to understand socio-economic impacts. Role of early warning system in reducing risk and vulnerability. How does the participatory approach work? Awareness and mobilizations, data collection, prioritization, planning, implementation, evaluations. What is a risk reduction approach? A risk reduction approach is a structure framework that identifies, analyzes, and addresses the risks. That risk reduction approach, risk assessment, that communities face, aiming to reduce vulnerabilities and the impact of disasters. It includes activities like disaster preparedness, mitigation measures, and resilience building. The Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015 to 2030 focuses on understanding disaster risk and enhancing disaster resilience through global collaboration. The Sendai Framework is important. What is a SWOT and SNA assessment? SWOT is strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. A framework used to analyze the internal strengths and weakness and external opportunities and threats faced by a community, organization, or project. Example: SWOT analysis for disaster risk reduction management could identify community strengths, strong local leadership, and weaknesses, lack of early warning system. SNA, social network analysis, a method used to analyze the relationships and interactions within a community or group. It helps identify the key actors and communication channels that can be leveraged during disaster response. This is the way how to talk. I was speeding. These are the answers. Okay. I'm tired. Not for today. Bye. Allah Hafiz.